video tutorials by Andrew Buckle. In this tutorial I'm going to show you another filter that can be used to add some grain and noise to an image, and in particular it's the fibers filter this time. Now I'm going to just go over here to filter and render and fibers. Right, you can actually see that there's a number of settings. You can actually got the variance and the strength. Now the strength really doesn't make much of a difference. I must admit it's one of those ones that is very subtle difference. You can see a slight variation, but the variance is actually the thing that actually obviously with the variance lower you can actually see more of an effect from the strength. So it just sort of blurs it a bit. So to actually get a more sort of random noise grain effect, put it about middle, that's about right. And also at this point you can actually randomize it, so it actually uses these settings and then just randomizes the grain. So you can actually create different grains, so it just applies it just over that image. So best way to start is to create a layer. So I'm just going to go to new layer, click OK, and obviously you have to fill the layer with something. So I'm going to go fill it black, and of course then you can use blending modes, and you can again use the fibers. You can just go over here to render and fibers, and again this actually uses over here the foreground and background. So you can see white there, which is the white there, and you can see black. If I'd actually gone for say yellow or green, you could actually see in those, you'd actually see yellow and green over here as well. So you can randomize that, and that's again added to a layer. So then of course you can just go over here, so darken or lighten, or something like overlay, which I think generally works better for a sort of grain. Now one thing also you can do with being a layer, you can actually just go to filter and you can blur the layer. Maybe with this one where it's actually like downwards, you can actually add probably blur, and motion blur actually works nicer with that. So you can actually also have that going downwards, obviously it's going across, so you can actually see that creating some interesting grains there. Click OK. Now another thing with this of course is that you can actually, as it's a layer, you can actually just rotate the layer. So you can transform, rotate anti-clockwise, and you can see now it's a crossways, so you can actually go back and apply, render, fibers. Again it's always obviously straight down, but of course you can, like I say, rotate that layer so you can actually have it going across that way, and again randomize, click OK, and you can get the effect. Of course then you've lost the other one, so you can actually fade that fibers. So just going to say darken, so you can end up getting it going both ways, or use opacity, or again overlay, create interesting effects. Right, now another thing you can do is also, you can, as it's still a layer, you can actually go over to the red. You can actually just select that instead, go to fibers again, and it's still available. So now randomize and maybe change the variance, so you don't have to go with that. And what you'll see is actually, I'm just going to go for green now, select another one, go to filter and render fibers, and again change the variance slightly, randomize that, click OK. Again it's all going downwards, of course you can always rotate this around, so you go back to there. You can actually see now you've got some very streaky sort of grain that's been added to this thing. Of course if you don't want any colour, you can always still go to image and black and white, and then change the grain maybe there, and this has been applied to the actual layer, so that's the key thing. So yellow, and there you have it. And of course at this point you can then decide, I don't want overlay, or you want lighten say, or darken, multiply. You can obviously try different blending modes. Anyway, I hope you found this quick tutorial of interest.